Welcome back to Sunrise Daily. Well, quite a number of issues on the burner here today. You've heard us talk about from security to economy to politics as well. Well, this morning we've got two gentlemen joining us to shed light on some of the issues that we will be raising with them. Ambassador Jerry Ugokwe is Deputy Director, APC Parliamentarians Directorate of the Presidential Campaign Council. He's also former permanent representative of Nigeria to the United Nations. He joins us virtually from Owerri. Good morning, Ambassador. Thank you for joining us on the program today.
Good morning, and thank you so very much, and compliments of the season, and I wish us all Nigerians a much better year to come in 2023.
All right, thank you. We also do have Kola Ologbondiyan, who is a member of the PDP's Presidential Campaign Council. He's here with us in the studios. Good morning. Thank you for coming.
Good morning, Chamberlain. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Nigerians. Compliments.
Ambassador, let me start with you. Looking at this year and perhaps the preceding years of the government of the APC, well, already we know challenges with the economy, with security, almost on a number of issues, many, just as you wish that it could have been a lot better than it is at the moment. But if we start from how things are currently playing themselves out, can you say you're near satisfied with the way your party has steered the ship of state so far?
Well, let me start by expressing my sincere condolences to the family of Barrister Bolanle, who was killed a few days ago on the Ajah axis of Lagos, by a police officer. Having said that, unless you're not a human being, unless you're not a Nigerian, that you will not feel unhappy with the security situation, with people who had, lost their lives in the past few years. One thing I want us to know is that no leadership, unless it's not a leadership, that is, made up of human beings, would want people to die, would want terrorists, if you will want bandits or whoever, to kill his people. So the point I'm making is that, my heart goes out to all who have lost their lives in terms of, the banditry and what have you. And all of us know there have been challenges, in the past few years across across the world, if you will, across Africa. A number of things that happened, migration and all kinds of things, invasion by, all kinds of people, trying to get away and get into other places and do things that are not human. So we've had our own share of it. The point I want to make here is that the government did not go home to sleep. The government, once this started, started putting a number of things in place. And if you will be honest with me, you will say that it has come down from what it used to be, a couple of years ago. And that's what we look forward to.
Well, Ambassador,
a situation where we can bring it under control. That's all we're trying, we're praying to happen. Nobody would be happy that people are being killed. I am not, and I'm sure you're not.
Well, so some of the figures out here, if we could present them and see how honest those figures are. The Daily's report this morning that primary health care in the country has collapsed. And then we look at the unemployment rate, it's going south. The amount of Nigerians who are poor has increased, the latest being 133 million of them are poor. And several indices. And in an election year, naturally, almost everyone who wants the seat, who wants to replace your party, say, look, those figures are a stark reality of what we're currently facing, and they don't think that after 8 years that your party deserves another shot at the seat.
I think that would be a wrong way to analyze it. First of all, you need to put it in context. This is an administration that under which you had, what you call COVID pandemic, which took the entire world, by storm, which, as well as for almost 2 years, we didn't go anywhere. We had to stay indoors. So it's not a normal 8 years. It will be unfair for you to just say, oh, they didn't do well. However, that is why we are saying that this is a great opportunity to also, give us, an opportunity, give Senator Ahmed Bola Tinubu an opportunity. If there are, or rather, wherever there were things that were done wrong, for it to be correct, for them to be corrected. Now, I want to make a point here that Asiwaju Ahmed Bola Tinubu is ready to turn this country around. If you talk about, things that have gone wrong, you better start, you better think about 16 years that the other parties had ruled us. Is as good as you're saying, starting from 2000 and I mean, the time we started, things were not the same. And like I said, we had issues. We have very challenging issues. The oil prices went down to, unthinkable prices, which was not the same, in the last administration. So the point I'm making is that this is an opportunity for Nigerians to look at those who are contesting and say, look, we are saying that Asiwaju Ahmed Bola Tinubu is is the person who can turn this thing around. Like I said to people, if we look at what he did in Lagos and we give him an opportunity to do it in Nigeria, we can go home and sleep. I mean, this is obvious. If you lived in Lagos, and I'm sure you were in Lagos, when Asiwaju was the governor of Lagos. And what we are saying is that he has the ability, in terms of leadership, what you need is somebody who can identify talents, somebody who can identify people who can do the work and pull them together. And then, all right, supervise them to do the great work. Thank you.
Okay. Well, Mr. Olobode, the ambassador says that it will be a wrong way to analyze it if you don't factor in the COVID period within that 8 years. So what say you on that?
Thank you. Thank you very much, Chamberlain. Good morning, Ambassador. I expected you to be here with me. However, Chamberlain, we cannot sit down here and be discussing the COVID period. We have a tenure of 8 years. That's my understanding. Then you are saying that 6 years, or let's even concede 5 years of your administration doesn't matter. Your concentration is on the last 2 years. Where were we as a people? Where did the APC administration take us to in the first 4 years or first 5 years before COVID? What was the level of purchasing power? We had rising costs even as at that time. Because when I speak on issues like this, I want to address the feelings of the ordinary people out there. You just said that primary healthcare is in shambles. Where were we in that area? The honest truth, which APC has failed to agree or has failed to accept, is that they had no idea, they had no concept, they had no understanding about governance when they came into the administration. And as such, even as we speak today, what project have they conceived and brought into existence and completed? We have challenged them, and we are re-challenging them even on that. It's just that this set of people who came together and formed a political party did not factor in the issue of governance. So they just wanted power.
You don't factor in any of those infrastructural development that, for instance, the Ministry of Works talking
about? If you talk about infrastructural development, even if you ask them, they will tell you that they completed projects that were ongoing.
Government is a continuum, isn't it?
Wait now. Government is continuum. But you must also have a legacy project that you can say that while I was in government, I did this. It's important.
Is it about glorifying themselves to project or making an impact in people's lives?
It has nothing to do with glorification. It's got nothing to do with glorifying oneself. But it's about legacy. So if you come to government and you say that, oh, I didn't conceptualize anything. For instance, when they came in, they said they were going to sell off all the aircraft in the presidential fleet. And the president will only use one or two. And by so doing, they can start an airline that is wholly owned by Nigeria. Where is it? I don't see, for me, and I believe largely for my party and our campaign, President Muhammadu Buhari is exiting. He has told Nigerians that he has done his best. Nigerians are saying that the best is not enough for us. However, how do we project into the future? Do we allow the same party who led us on a journey to nowhere and who has rubbished every fabric of our lives to continue by bringing the very person who claimed to have unilaterally, to have singularly made Buhari president, and after making him president, propped him into failure in a manner that he can now come back and say, oh, let me correct the ills committed by the person, the personality that I brought into government. I think that would be most unfair, even to Nigerians.
Well, Ambassador, from the look of things, I mean, your candidate says that in 4 years, he intends to transform the power sector and provide uninterrupted power supply. That's 4 years. So Mr. Logbonne is alluding to the fact that you don't have to consider 7 years, factoring in the other 2 years of COVID years. So he says 4 years should have been enough for you to make an impact. After all, that is what your candidate seems to be saying here.
Well, let me first of all correct what Olagunde has said about continuity. I think it is important to know that government is a continuum. It doesn't matter what party that comes in. We are talking about Nigeria, my country and your country. So it doesn't matter that PDP conceptualized something for over 16 years and never did it. In fact, you should congratulate, the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria for having the will. We conceptualized, for 16 years, the issue of train services in Nigeria. It never started. Only when somebody came and said, look, this must get started. You conceptualized the second Niger bridge for 16 years and you never started it. And then you want to give yourself credit for having, projects on the drawing board for 16 years. And then you want to discredit somebody who came and saw something on the drawing board that lasted for 16 years. And you say, hey, this must be done. This is for my country. This is for my people. That's what we're saying.
Ambassador, if I may interrupt you.
Yeah.
Ambassador, if I may interrupt you, I'm just reading or a cursory look at the message written by the Christmas sermon written by Bishop Coker of Sokoto Diocese. Yes. I'm sure that you must have seen that particular sermon by now. Reading it, yes. You get a sense that there are some things that this administration has done. I mean, he acknowledges the fact that there's been progress made in terms of infrastructure, even though Mr. Logbonne says that, there's none of them that you have conceptualized yourself, but at least they acknowledge that in terms of infrastructure, projects that were started have been completed. But the most fundamental thing, which the sermon seems to point at is the fact that some of the things that have been destroyed are intangible. Bishop Coker speaks of a caste system. He says a caste system has emerged in our country. It has consolidated its hold and blunted the cutting edge of all institutions. A majority of its children are swimming against the tide for survival with no support, while the other caste smiles in the comfort of their jackets. And he talks about how did this caste emerge in our country. We really need Black Americans responded to caste by founding Black Lives Matter movement. We really need to rally together to destroy those who have institutionalized a caste system in our societies, because every life matters. This particular statement, he goes on to elaborate on it, talking about reach against the poor, generational difference, etc. These are intangibles, but these are realities. And it speaks to, it's at the bottom of leadership, which it would seem that your party has failed to provide in instances where it could have provided that leadership. I'll give you one instance. NSARS, the NSARS protest, which it would seem was run mostly by young people, was seen from a very different light by the president, who thought that young people were trying to overthrow him, at least that they said that much. How much leadership can you say that your administration or this administration has been able to provide when it comes to identifying some of these soft issues which join us together at the hip and, and seem to be at risk of falling apart as we speak?
I would want to honestly say that, to some extent, the administration has done its best. Obviously, its best may not be good enough. And that is why Asiwaju Ahmed Bola Tinubu wants to come in and turn the situation around. I mean, like I said, their best may not have been good enough. Right. I mean, we are all doing our best. Our best may not be good enough depending on who is assessing it. But the point I'm making is that this is a different situation. This is a situation where we're changing from one administration to another. It is not it's not a time to be talking about yesterday. We are talking about today. We're talking about today and tomorrow. And today we're talking about, changing of leadership from Muhammadu Buhari to Senator Ahmed Bola Tinubu. From there, Nigeria will turn you in Lagos, you're happy that you can now do blue rail, in Lagos. Can you imagine if we have all over that in Nigeria?
How can anyone trust your administration? I think that's the biggest problem, because these were some of the ills that they identified in the PDP government in 2015. And decided that, look, we needed a change, which was what your administration promised. But 8 years down the line, we're looking at what is happening in the country, and people are saying, how can we trust that the APC is not going to continue with just more of what we've seen in the last 8 years?
It is not possible, because Asiwaju Ahmed Bola Tinubu has shown in Lagos, and even in the Lagos state government is showing today, that APC can be trusted. The leadership of Asiwaju Ahmed Bola Tinubu, if you hand him over the mantle of Nigeria, that Nigeria is going to turn around. Yes, there were difficulties. Yes, there were issues, orchestrated by the price of oil. There was not enough money to do certain things when it was time to do it. Some of these things are time-bound. Then, the COVID and the rest of it. But we're saying that if you give Asiwaju Ahmed Bola Tinubu the opportunity to do what he did in Lagos, and he's ready to do it, like I said, the key thing, is like a coach. A coach is not the player himself, but a coach is a person who selects good players and put them on the field to be able to win a match. Asiwaju is a great coach who can select good minds, people who can change Nigeria, people who can turn Nigeria around and put them in the field.
So what I hear you say, Ambassador,
that's what we're talking about.
Just a moment, Ambassador, if I may interrupt you. Yeah. What I hear you say is that you acknowledge that indeed this caste system exists, and that this is something that your party has been able to successful. No, that's what I hear you say. You're saying that Asiwaju will come and correct that. Is that what you're saying?
I am saying that Nigeria is a work in progress. And when you have work in progress, there may be some mistakes along the way. So the person who comes in will look, through the process and know if there are any mistakes, you correct it. And then you continue the good jobs that had already been started. That's what we're talking about. And beyond that, you invent your own excellent ideas, to make things work. I'm saying, that if Asiwaju Ahmed Bola Tinubu comes, he knows the right people to pull together across the country, just like he did in Lagos. Brought Igbos, brought Northerners, brought all kinds of people to make Lagos work. That's all I'm asking. Give him an opportunity to bring, people from across the country, no matter where they come from. That is what you're going to see in Asiwaju's administration. And what I'm talking about is, I hate looking back. I want to look
Ambassador,
forward.
I have to take this now to Mr. Logbondio.
If you look backwards, you have an accident. Did you hear me? If you keep looking backwards, you have an accident. But if you look forward, then you see a vehicle coming so that you know how to avoid it. Getting Asiwaju Ahmed Bola Tinubu to be the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria is one best way.
Ambassador, pardon me, I have to take the conversation right now to Mr. Logbondio. Well, you have heard his arguments there. I mean, he keeps saying that that's the reason why, the APC wants to try, he wants Nigerians to vote Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And I'm wondering, because even the candidate of your own party, who has been in the APC, who also, sang the change song alongside Nigerians, but now has gone back to the PDP and is now saying, look, we need to give this party another try. Can he really say that there is a major ideological shift or difference between what the APC is selling? I mean, after all of these people came together to install the president, or should I say to make him president, in 2015. Can he say that there's really anything fundamentally different from what the APC is selling Nigerians now and what your party, the PDP, is asking Nigerians to vote it for?
Thank you very much, Mark. Before we go into that, let me quickly correct some of the assertions raised by Ambassador Jerry Gokwe. One, he said that the Niger Bridge was at the preparatory area that was just at the conceptualization level, and that they came and built it. That's not correct. That's a lie. The federal government share, as at the time Jonathan left office, was 30 billion. It's a PPP project. And before Jonathan left office, about 21.2 billion of that federal government part had been paid. And I can clearly say from the reports as at 2015 that 38% of the job was ongoing, which was abandoned when they came into office. Having established that, I just want to say that because Jerry Gokwe is from Anambra State, the bridge in question is around Anambra State. And I expected him to come into the public arena and speak to the truth. One of the biggest problems of the APC administration is that they don't give credit. They will never say that, oh, PDP did this, but we completed it. That's wrong. Then he went ahead and spoke about the theory of coach selecting players. And that because Asiwaju selected players or those in government in Lagos, they should give him to Nigeria. They should give him Nigeria to handle. That's very fallacious. Asiwaju has claimed responsibility unilaterally of bringing Baba President Muhammadu Buhari into office. And Nigerians generally have said the man has performed below expectations.
Okay, well, let's just speak to the other issues.
I'll go to those issues.
We'll return in just a moment. We need to go to break. My apologies, but we'll come back and let you continue when we return. Just stay with us. Welcome back to Sunrise. Mr. Logbondio, you're making some...
Yes, I was saying that he came up with the theory of the coach. That, Asiwaju selected good players in Lagos State. And so he should be allowed to come to national again and select another player or become the player himself. The last player he selected for Nigerians, Nigerians said he could not score a goal, that he performed below expectations.
Is that a fair assessment? Mr. Logbonyo, just a moment. Some people will say that's not, he did not select, the president. He didn't. There was a primary in 2015. There was a primary in which the current flag bearer of your party contested in and lost. It was there for everybody to see. So can you really say that Asiwaju selected or picked him as a player, and give him to Nigerians? Is that the same assessment?
I'm very happy with the analogy that you have brought. So let's discuss it now. Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
I didn't bring the analogy. I'm just saying that this is the situation. I'm building on your own analogy.
My own analogy. Good. Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu went to Ogun State and recorded before Nigerians that President Muhammadu Buhari had lost elections 3 times and that he was crying, that he became a town crier until he, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, went to him and said, "Stop crying. You will be president." And that he made him president. Have you forgotten that? And thereafter, he said after him, "Emilokon, are you not aware?" So if he selected a player, according to him, not according to anybody, I'm not raising a fresh issue. I'm telling you I'm reporting back.
Are you saying that
I'm sure you're also aware of that.
Can I ask you then, are you saying that we should discard the primaries that happened in Lagos?
No, you are not. We are not. It's not about. It is your choice whether you want to discard these primaries.
I'm asking you.
You know why?
It's a question.
You know why I say it's a choice? Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu had come to the public arena to declare that he made Buhari president. So what you choose to believe will be relative. You understand? Because he has come out to say it. He has come out to own it. However, let's leave that. You ask a question.
Yes.
You also ask a question. You also ask a question about what my candidate will do different because it was in APC. Atiku Abubakar had never denied that he was in APC. He has never denied that. But at the point when he discovered that the purpose of governance for which they went into APC for would be unachievable, he left. He did not only leave. At every point in time in our national life, Atiku Abubakar will come out and say, "This is what government is doing, but this is the alternative view. Why don't you go about it this way?"
He left after he lost the primaries.
Look, it is the material at the point at which he left. But having said that,
because you made it some material, so that's why we had to bring that.
At the point which he left, it's the material. But he left, and when he came out of that contraption, he began to provide alternative.
Right.
He began to assure Nigerians that we can get it better.
Let's bring in our colleagues to have more questions for both of you. Go ahead, guys.
Well, thank you, Chamberlain. I know this is going on, really, and those issues are very important, but some of the points maybe that Nigerians will also want to hear about, I'll take us back to there because we started off from that point, and I'll go back to Ambassador. You said that you really are a person of today and tomorrow, that you don't like looking backwards. But a lot of Nigerians would say, well, we got here as a function of what we experienced in the past, few years. So it's important to still speak to that. So it won't seem like you're glossing over it, such that, you're not minding the feelings or the emotions or the situation that Nigerians are in right now. And just some of the figures that Chamberlain was talking about earlier, I'd like to extend them. So inflation, currently 21%. It was less than 10% before your party came into power. Even before COVID, it had gone above that 10%, which your party met at petrol price. I mean, some don't even have access to petrol right now, but for some who have access to it, they buy it for upwards of 200, 300 naira. It was less than 100 naira before your party came into power. Unemployment is at 33% now. It was less than 10% when your party came into power. Poverty, 133 million Nigerians. It was way less before your party came into power. The value of naira to a dollar, it is almost nearing 1,000 naira now. We know what it was before your party came into power, less than 200. The crude production, it was 1.8 million barrels per day, even sometimes more than that before your party came into power. At some point, we had less than 1 million just a few months back. We're climbing upwards just of 1 million naira now in your party's context. So if you say you're a man of today and tomorrow, would you discountenance the yesterday of Nigerians, which has brought them to where they are right now? Just to be clear on that point you were making, are you saying that you really do not care about what Nigerians have gone through and your own focus now is on tomorrow, just to get your party in power?
Yes, before I speak to that question, let me speak to my very good friend, Kola. You know, Kola had been publicity secretary of the PDP for a long time, and he's a good guy. The point I want to bring out is that this is the same presidential candidate of his who left the party, you know, and went to help in forming the APC of today, contested primaries for presidential candidate and lost. And because he lost, he took a walk and went back. You know, I'm sure if there was any other place any other strong party to have won the presidency and then be very competitive, he would have gone there. And then he came back. And I know the kind of feeling that my friend Kola had when he joined hands to form the APC. And today, he's the best guy to turn Nigeria around because he has come back to his party. Be that as it may, let me speak to the question that you asked. To start with, I said clearly, you do not have to continue to look back when you are moving forward. It is important that you look at your rear mirror and see what is happening there. But when you're driving forward, you don't turn yourself backwards and keep constantly looking backwards. That's the analogy that I am giving. Yes, some certain things, you know, have happened, and we have taken note of that. We know things have not gone as well as, you know, some of us may expect it to have been. Yes, we are mindful of that, but we are talking about today and tomorrow. Yes, we are aware of what happened yesterday, and that is why we want the best man to be in the system, to tell me, you know, that because Asiwaju Ahmed Bola Tinubu, like my friend Kola said, was one of those who brought in Buhari, that he selected Buhari. That is wrong. The primaries selected Buhari. And that is also the same primaries that has selected, you know, his presidential candidate. So that is not assembling a team.
On that point you made, Ambassador.
The team that I'm talking about is the cabinet of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
All right. Ambassador, just quickly on that point.
Answer to your question. Yes, we know the things that have gone bad, and we are prepared to change it. And that is why.
You said that, I mean, you don't want to look back while you're moving forward, but it was convenient for you to look back and say that your candidate really literally brought Lagos to where it is today. So that's you actually looking back and using what happened yesterday to sort of, you know, convince Nigerians to vote for your party. So when it's convenient, you look back and say your candidate at least did some work in Lagos. But when it's not, you say, well, let's look back at what happened in the past 7-8 years of your party in power. Why is it that convenient?
No, what I'm saying, you probably didn't understand me. What I said is that you do not have to, you know, turn yourself back when you are driving forward. You look at your rear view mirror once in a while, you know, otherwise, you know, but if you turn backwards and you're driving forward, you definitely have an accident. That's what I'm saying. So we're mindful of what has happened. We're mindful of what you're talking about, the statistics that you're reeling out. We're mindful of it. And that is why we want to bring the best man on the job to be able to turn those things around. That's what we're talking about. You know, again.
Well, Ambassador.
Just before you brought me in,
Ambassador,
I saw those commercials. Can you hear me? Just before you brought me in, I hope you saw those commercials about Lagos State, which just aired on your television. You know, about what Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu did in Lagos. Believe you me, with people like us around, we're going to even do better. That's what we're talking about.
Well, Ambassador, it's impossible sometimes to, or it's important sometimes to look back, even as you try to go forward, so you reflect on the mistakes of the past. The important thing is the All Progressives Congress came to power on a tripod of promises: that's security, anti-corruption, and the economy. And the question at this point is, has the party delivered on these three promises? From the statistics that my colleague Kadi reeled out, I believe the answer is a very big no. And your candidate, whom you're selling now, sold President Buhari to Nigerians. So the question is, why should Nigerians now entrust the mandate to someone who sold an administration that has failed to deliver on its promises to Nigerians?
Well, I think it's important to note this. When it is important, when it is convenient for you, you talk about administrations. When it is important to others, they talk about individuals. You see, like I said, it is important to know who is going to be at the helm of affairs. It is very critical to know who is going to be the head coach. And the head coach who is coming in now is Senator Ahmed Bola Tinubu. Just be honest with yourself.
Well, Ambassador,
look at what, compare him, and then let us see if any of them comes anywhere close to him. And we are saying, yes, just like you're talking about now, it was convenient for the candidate of the PDP to come in there, help and form APC, was not able to win the presidential ticket, then moves back to PDP. Then it's convenient for his vice presidential candidate at that time, to not win presidential candidate if, when he wanted to move to another party.
Well, Ambassador, it's just as it's not just convenient to look at the administration right now. It's important so that Nigerians can make informed decisions. And speaking of informed decisions, I wonder if you are zealous in your defense of your candidate as you are in taking a critical look at the party's manifesto, your presidential candidate's manifesto. Speaking of which, he's promising to stop fuel subsidies from his manifesto, increase crude oil production to 2.6 million barrels per day by 2027, yes, and 4 million barrels per day by 2030. The question is, how will this be achieved in the light of the current circumstances that we find ourselves in? There's crude oil theft, which is, has not been covered in this document about how that will be tackled.
Thank you so very much. You will be, I'm happy for this question you asked. The reason is that, what he has spelled out in that, and it is, first of all, it is not possible for you to begin to publish on the in a public document how you are going to catch people who are stealing our oil and all that. The important thing is that you have said you will do it. The details that you have, you're going to be able to do it. You can imagine this oil theft has been going on for as long as, over 20, 30 years in this country. And this administration was able to discover it. You can imagine what will happen if you give Asiwaju the opportunity to be president of Nigeria for the next 4+ years. The issue of oil theft, has bedeviled Nigeria over many years. I served Nigeria as the permanent resident representative to OPEC in Vienna, and I know what these issues are, and I know that with the kinds of people that Asiwaju is going to bring together, it's going to be a thing of the past. That I can sit here and tell you for free, that is what is going to happen.
All right, we need to wind down now. So, Mr. Logboni, your candidate also spoke about some 10,000 megawatts of electricity in 4 years, and then ensuring that you also have stable power supply moving forward. How is that going to happen?
Thank you very much. But before I go into that, let me quickly respond to Ambassador Ogokwe. He used the analogy of a traveler who is driving. And he's saying that, oh, you should not look back. You should be forward-looking.
Can look at your rearview mirror once a while.
You can only be forward-looking when you are making progress. In a situation where the APC has taken our nation on a journey to nowhere and carry us go where we don't know, you cannot entrust our future into their hands. And Chamberlain, Jerry Goke needs to know that no matter how far a man travels in the wrong direction, the day he discovers, or the moment he discovers that he's on the wrong path, he must make a U-turn. Nigerians have discovered that for the past almost 8 years, APC has been carrying them on a journey where they don't know where they go. So how will you continue to follow them? It's not possible.
Sector.
Now, going to the power sector.
Yeah.
My candidate and the candidate of Nigerians, Atiku Abubakar, has said that we need to move the power sector from the exclusive list to concurrent. And I believe that we can generate...
Hasn't that been done already?
No, the law is in the process. It has not been achieved. And as you know, under this administration, President Muhammadu Buhari, even the restructuring that Asiwaju sang from the beginning of his political career to the time he was able to install a president according to him, he hasn't been able to achieve it. But having said that, for instance, Akwa Ibom State is generating power. But you need to come and take permission from the federal government, Ministry of Power, before...
Well, you said the law is in process. So soon that will be history.
Which history? In less than 5 months. Under this National Assembly.
The Assembly hasn't wound down, have they? They're still in session.
Chamberlain, I say restructuring. That was the sing song of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
All right.
Since he began his political career in this administration, since 1999, in this republic since 1999, he has not been able to achieve it. They set up committee. They came to the National Assembly. What has come out of it is only our candidate Atiku Abubakar who is speaking to it. And on that power sector, I'm assuring you that 10,000 megawatts, as promised by Atiku Abubakar, can be generated. And
we will talk about...
has no space again.
We'll talk about
this position.
We'll talk about that, the power sector for all of these political parties moving forward, the how bit of their promises when we come back for the next segment. But now we have to thank both of you for coming on. Ambassador Jerry Ugokwe, Deputy Director, APC Parliamentarian Directorate of the Presidential Campaign Council. He's also former permanent representative of Nigeria to the UN. We also had Kola Ologbondiyan, a member of the PDP's Presidential Campaign Council. Gentlemen, thank you both for joining us today on the program.
Thank you very much, Chamberlain. Thank you.
Thank you, Chamberlain. And happy New Year.
All right. We're back. Thank you. We're back in just a moment, everyone. Stay with us.